This is the application for the eufy S4. On the initial application screen here, you can see it shows both the views. It labels them fixed and movable, and then it gives you kind of a shortcut where it says it's online, shows you the Wi-Fi, battery, and that the solar panel is intact. We also have 3 dots here in the corner, which will allow us to quick toggle for snoozing our notifications for 30 minutes up to 12 hours, turning on or off the lights right from there, and then quick toggle right into the settings from this screen. Also visible on the initial screen before even accessing the camera is our number of notifications that we have, as well as timeline view for things that we're seeing. We're gonna come back to our main page here, and we're gonna select our camera and allow that to boot up. Here we can see it does it fairly quickly, but we have our 2 individual views. In the upper left-hand corner, we have the name, the bit rate, and then over to the right, we have our alarm. If we select this, we can manually trigger the alarm for sound only, lights only, or sound and light. And then once you confirm what you want to happen, it triggers it and it's going off outside. We're gonna turn that off. To the right of that is our settings. We'll talk about that momentarily. Coming down to our 2 unique views, you could see in the left-hand corner of both, it indicates whether it is the fixed camera or the motion camera. And if I tap on that, both cameras support digital pinch to zoom, but here you can see it's actually pulling in both of them. So if I want to come over here and see the snow, that's the fixed camera. And then if I do the movable camera, you notice it kind of bounces back because it really wants you to use the zoom function down here. We'll talk about that momentarily. This is all one giant feed. So even though it says fixed and movable, it is stitched together and is considered one feed. That's why it's not individually zooming. Down here in the lower left-hand corner, we have our video streaming quality. You could set it for auto, 4K, 2K, 1080, or 720. I'm going to turn that off. To the right of that, we have our full screen mode. Now, notice when you bring it into the full screen mode, yes, it's going to allow you to pick between the 2. So we've got our fixed camera down here and then our movable. But if you tap on it, it will switch the location. And then some of our other icons are also moved around. But we're going to pop that back out so that we have our standard view. Just under our video feeds, we have our actual zoom. So our movable supports a physical zoom. And then there you can see it's zooming in on all the animal tracks in my backyard. Just under our zoom options, we have our record. If I select record, whatever is moving through frame at this time will be recorded as a live event that I can grab later. Notice it's saved to my photos and videos. To the right of that is our sound. I currently have this toggled off because, well, there's a lot of birds out there making noise, but if you ever need to turn that on or off, that's where it is. To the right of that is our talk option. If we select this, it's just like making a phone call. It is full duplex. You can be heard and they can hear you at the same time. Turn that off. To the right of that, we have our pan tilt controls. Notice it just kind of brings it up on screen. So from here, I can move my movable camera around. I still have access to my optical zoom right there. And then within our PTZ controls, we get access to extra functionality. First being our presets. You can have several presets set up, and to do so, you would simply move the camera to where you want. So you bring that up. Let's say I want to bring this all the way over here to check out that bush. Maybe I want to lower it a little bit, kind of get the fence line, come back to my presets, hit the plus sign, and then I can hit plus here, or I can hit set right there, and it will take up that slot. Now, I also have the ability to set a default position. Right now, that one is set as my default position, meaning that if I come back to my presets, I can select any one of the options here, but your preset or your home position is going to be where the camera always goes back to after it tracks something. To the right of our preset, you saw me, I brought up my pan tilt controls again. To the right of those, we have our panorama. If you create a panorama, what this will do is it will create an image that you can scroll across rather than creating individual presets manually. This goes and it creates a dynamic picture. And here you can see it's actually building the picture out. And what that will allow you to do is once the picture is completed, you can simply go click, 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 and it will snap the camera to that location instead of relying on you having to manually create preset. We'll come back once this is done completing that panorama. Now that the panorama is complete, I can simply select a target on the picture and it will move to that location, just like that. As you can see, no setting up presets. I can simply just move my target and it will change the camera to that location. The 3 dots in the corner means I can reset this or I can delete it if I don't want to keep that panorama. And we're going to come back because one other thing I wanted to talk about while we were talking about the pan tilt is the tap to move your picture. So I can come here, you can see a yellow box and it will focus in on whatever happens to be in that area. Very useful if you're tracking people. Also, you can also use your finger to move the camera around without bringing up the PTZ controls. To the right of our PTZ controls, we have our light. We could turn that on or off. Notice, can't really see anything right now, but this is what it would look like in the evening or in the dark. Do notice that there's no countdown timer. It's simply turn the lights on or off. If we swipe to the right, we have access to more of our controls. And on the next page, we have our screenshot. This will take a still image of whatever happens to be in the feed at that moment. To the right of that, we have our PTZ linkage. You can turn this on or off. What that will do is if something is seen in the stationary camera, it will move the PTZ camera over to that location to see what's going on and help track it. Speaking of tracking, to the right of that is our AI tracking on and off. If you want this camera to follow people and pets, make sure you turn that on. To the right of that, we have our night vision, and we've got 3 choices. Spotlight, meaning it will turn the LED lights on to see what's going on. Infrared, which will use the IR lights on both the cameras to see what's happening. Or disabled, which will completely disable any sort of night vision, relying on the starlight sensor to see what's happening. Next to that, we have our playback. If I select playback, this brings me into the playbacks area for this particular camera here. You could see it says that it saw a person, but it probably was a deer going through the frame. If we wanted to, we're going to pause that momentarily because we can jump to the previous clip, jump to the next clip, turn our volume on and off. We have our speed controls, which is only accessible when it's actually playing. So we're going to jump to something. Yeah, that's the movement. We cannot adjust our speed unless continuous recording is turned on. We're going to pause that. Upper right-hand corner, we could select the date for what we're looking for. I don't particularly care for this style of calendar. Wish it was a little different, but we have download this clip, share this clip, donate this clip to eufy, in which you'll tell them, hey, what was the problem? And then agree to terms of service in that they can use your video clip to make their service better. We then also have delete. And then again, if this had 24/7 recording turned on, I can record right from there. Coming back, we're going to swipe our controls one more time to the right because the last bit that's all the way on the screen all by itself is our 360 look around. Selecting that will move the camera around in a 360-degree fashion, giving you a quick look around as to what's going on. This is not a true patrol mode. This is something that you have to manually activate in order to kind of get a look around. And notice it really looks around, like it looked behind itself based on where I had this located. And then it returns to its center point. And that's everything that we can do for the camera controls. Let's move on to our settings. Starting off at our settings for the camera, we have the manual. If we select this, it's going to bring up all the information about this camera. Here you can see some official eufy tutorials. But we also have our camera name, whether it's using the solar panel, whether it's getting sun, whether it's charging. You can see, I wish that was green, but it has a little sun icon with a lightning bolt letting you know it's charging, the percent that it has charged, as well as its Wi-Fi connection. Here you could see the icon for this particular camera. You also have the ability to connect this to eufy's home base to give it extra functionality. Right now, I've just been testing it as the camera itself, but if you want localized facial recognition, you would use eufy's home base. Coming down, we have our motion detection type. I have yes, detect motion, and then underneath, we could set up an activity zone. Notice that it puts you into the full screen mode if you want to do that. If you set up a activity zone, notice you have to set it for either the fixed camera or the motion camera. You would hit the plus sign in the corner here, and then you get this octagon, which you can then manipulate the shape of, or just move it all together and say, yes, that's what I want. And you can actually do several different ones. And this is something I like that Eufy does. Notice you can have several, but they also make them different colors to make it so that you can tell them apart instead of having a single color for everything. You might not think about that as something that's important, but if you've ever had to set up multiple zones, you'll know just how important that is. Speaking of Eufy, can we get a delete all instead of having to do one at a time? Just asking. Coming down, we have our sensitivity settings. Here we can see we have the sensitivity for our fixed camera as well as our motion camera. And notice if I change this, it's going to show you in real time what that looks like. So we're going to come out and just under that, show you the sensitivity of both. So if you were looking for like a quick toggle, that's how you could do it. Coming down, we have our detection response. What this is, if we come in here, for a human, I want it to record and notify. I don't have any vehicles in my backyard, so don't record or notify. Pets, I want recorded and notify. All other motion, I don't want to be notified, but I do want it to record. So I like the fact that they give you a level of customization as to what you're actively going to be told is happening in the camera's view. To the right of that, we have our power management. And right here, you've got a quick summary at the top. If I select this, it's going to bring us into some more information, showing us the battery dashboard. So this is the last 7 days. If I do 30 days, this chart should fill in, and I don't know why it's not, but we can do solar charging data, and that chart should fill in. Consumption, this is all information that should be there, but we'll come down to my stats. So working days, detected events, recorded events. Why are so many events being detected? It's going to bring you in and tell you, hey, consider your placement, other options, things of that nature. We've got our battery mode. So you've got either optimal battery life, optimal surveillance, or custom. If you come into custom, you could select the edit icon. That will allow you to adjust your clip length and your interval in between triggers, and then end clip early if motion stops, yes or no. I've been leaving it on optimal surveillance, and I've had good results with that. Notice you also do have the ability to have direct power, which will allow for pre-recordings and then continuous recording. Now, I don't have this wired. I'm just using the solar panel, but those are the options for that if that's what you're looking for. Coming back out and scrolling down, we have our pan tilt settings. We have another location for our presets. We have the toggle for AI on and off. And then bullet to PTZ tracking. This is the fixed camera and the PTZ camera working together to provide a more comprehensive coverage, meaning it will move the camera around to see things that the fixed camera can see. Then we have our pan tilt controls. We can adjust the speed, and then we have the ability to calibrate, which will move it around, and then screen gesture controls. So this is the quick tap to focus, and then the swipe controls that I showed you before. To the right of that, we have our light settings. We can control the brightness, and then we have our light mode, white or the red and blue alarm lights. To me, this is one of the gimmicky things that this camera does. I don't feel that having flashing red and blue lights is going to deter anybody from coming onto your property. Coming down, we have anti-theft detection. If you turn this on, it will sound an alarm if somebody tampers with the camera. Moving on, we have video settings. We have, do you wish to have the watermark turned on? Do you wish to have the logo turned on? Do you wish to have time and date stamp? So if I turn this off, that turns everything off versus turning on and off logo. I appreciate the fact that Eufy shows you exactly what that will look like in the little preview window up there. Image enhancement uses AI to improve image quality. However, it can reduce battery life. Moving on, we have our stream quality. Auto will pick the best depending on your connection, or you could just force it to stay in 4K, 2K, 1080, or 720. Record settings, again, different than the live feed. Do you want it to record in 4K, 2K, 1080, or 720? Privacy zones, if you add a privacy zone, notice you can set it up for both the fixed or the motion camera. Eufy actually has an interesting way of handling a privacy zone on a PTZ camera, because we could set it for the fixed or the movable. And one of the big issues that I normally have with setting up a privacy zone on a PTZ camera is that that normally just stays pixelated, fixed on the view. However, notice what eufy does. That is not fixed on the camera's view itself. Yes, the box does change shape a little bit, but notice, as I move the PTZ camera, I now have full view instead of just having a black box. That black box is not limited to the field of view of the camera. It knows where it is in the space of the video and will continue to block it as the camera moves. That right there is the way that privacy zones should be handled on a PTZ camera. And I applaud eufy for getting it right. In fact, what eufy used to do is tell you if you were trying to set up a privacy zone on a PTZ camera, you were not able to do it. It would lock you out of that. The S4 actually knows where it is in the space of the video. That is an amazing feature. Coming down, we're gonna do our audio settings. You can turn on and off your microphone. You can turn on and off your audio recording if you live in an area that doesn't allow you to record audio with your video. You could turn your speaker on and off, and then you have your speaker volume. You also have your alarm tones. You could select 1, 2, or 3. Coming back out, we have our notifications. We have text only, text first, then a thumbnail, or then include a thumbnail. eufy is letting you also know that if you choose to have a thumbnail sent, that it will be temporarily stored in the cloud. They did get hit with this a couple of years ago about privacy, but storing your information in the cloud. So they're letting you know up front, if you want to see a preview, you're gonna have to agree to that. But we have our options for push notification. When switching notifications, we can switch mode by geofence, by schedule, by app. If you select by schedule, you'll set up a schedule. And then you have your motion alerts, silent bell, you got different audio types to let you know what's going on. Coming down, we have our general. We have the name of our camera, turning on or off the LED status light, storage. So for me, I'm doing local storage. It's letting you know how much I have on the card. I can format the card. I can clear the card all from there. We have our Wi-Fi connection. So if we need to change that, that's where we come. We also have our time setting, our mounting guide, and then about this device. Moving on, we have share this device. Notice I don't have anybody, but I could select the plus sign in the upper right-hand corner, and then I could select, do I want to give somebody admin privileges to this camera, or just guests, which will allow them to view the device, and it does require the eufy app. And then I would just tell them which one I want to send, and then send them an invite. Note, they will have to have their own eufy account in order for them to be able to use that option. And then share your thoughts about this device. You also have restart device and remove this device from your eufy application. I want to show you one more thing, which is coming out and then selecting events on the main page, because from here we can see all the events just in a slightly different location. And if I tap onto an event, I can download, share, donate, or delete right from here. And on this screen, we actually have the ability to filter for what type, event, and then detection, what device. I like this view a little better, and I also like the counter view on this a little better. You can see any blue dot there means that there has been something that happens. Now I have several eufy cameras, so I can limit this just to the S4 if I wanted to, but I like that view better than the downloads view on the camera itself. And that has been everything that we can do for the eufy S4 in the eufy app.